Hello, everybody. My name is Liz Faircloth. I'm so excited to be with all of you today. I am the co-host of the Real Estate Investor podcast. I'm one of the co-founders of this amazing community. And most excitingly, we just launched The Only Woman in the Room. I have three co-authors with me here today to talk a little bit about their stories, to share a little bit about their story. We don't want to give it all away, but we'll be talking about the book. But most importantly, we'll be talking about their journeys and also what's happening right now in the investing world. I have three very seasoned women who are active investors right now. They're extraordinary. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because this is all about giving you, our viewers on YouTube or in our Facebook community and our investor community, value. We want to give you value and we want to know you're here watching with us. We love comments. We love questions. I love engaging with people. It's hard to do this through a computer for me, but we love engaging with everyone. So as we begin here, please give us a shout out where you're from, and we also have some free giveaways, very exciting, some really cool giveaways today as well. We have three from these amazing ladies to be giving away. So as you're joining us again, my name is Liz. We'll be doing these Facebook Lives more consistently, and I have three of the co-authors of this extraordinary book, The Only Woman in the Room, here with me. We're going to be talking about investing, and we're about to be talking about their journey. So again, if you're joining us, please say hello, where you're from, anything else you want to tell us, your social security number. No, I'm joking. I'm really bad jokes, but thanks for being here. So I'm going to bring in our three co-authors. Hey, Corinne.
Hello.
Hey,
hello.
Becky. Hey, Gertrude. I got three amazing ladies here. And Gertrude's got her shirt. She's sporting her shirt. She's got the book. I love it. I love it. We all got our book here. I got my not for resale version because I actually gave away the other book to someone. I got to order them in bulk. But thank you all for being here. Thank you for being part of this amazing, amazing book with us. Thank you for being part of our investor community. Corinne is our investor meetup leader for the Philadelphia group. Gertrude leads our group in Boston. And Becky's just amazing and does amazing work in Philly and all around. She's both a real estate agent, broker, and she does tons of investments as well. So I have lots of questions for the three of you. I could probably talk all day to the three of these ladies. They are so knowledgeable and so giving and so authentic with what they know, but more importantly, what they're up to in their life. So I'd love for you each to introduce yourselves, and I'll just call on each of you. Just share a little bit about who you are, what you focus on, and then we'll kind of get to it. I also want to just mention too, as folks are joining, hey chat, thank you for joining us. We're excited about interviewing chat on our investor podcast. So we got that coming up. So thanks for being here. But yeah, as you're joining us, please say hello, and please share where you're from, what color shirt you're wearing today, whatever you want to share, really. It's a beautiful day here on the East Coast. It was raining yesterday, so I love seeing some sunshine. So Corinne, I will start with you. She is in her car. She is making it happen. That is what we do as women. So Corinne, tell us a little about who you are and where you're from.
I am joining you from the streets. I am in Francisville, Philadelphia right now. I started out as a classical musician way back in a couple of previous lives ago and started in multifamily in and around Philadelphia and then pivoted to self-storage. So my chapter in the book, if you haven't read it yet, is all about self-storage and how we did that and why. We're absolutely thrilled with it right now and actually selling off the bulk of the rest of our multifamily portfolio right now because the numbers are crazy. So we're selling and converting all of that over into buying another self-storage facility for ourselves personally, as well as larger facilities with our investors. That's me.
Awesome. For the folks watching or listening, we love free things. I love free things. I literally love them. Anything, I'll just take it because if it's free, I will just usually just take it. So I think that has something to do with my money story. That's another talk for another day. But we have some free giveaways today. Corinne has a really cool video and basically teaching about supply and demand and some tips and strategies around self-storage investing.
We are all about using technology tools and not reinventing the wheel. And so there's one very powerful tool that we use to do high level supply demand analysis to really dig into the area, whether it's a 1, 3, or a 10-mile radius, because self-storage is so location dependent. So I tried recording it this morning and none of my sound didn't record. So I'll try again this afternoon. But just a quick spin through of that tool and showing how we do just an initial high level overview. So happy to share that with however you want to handle it, Liz.
Yeah. So here's a question for everyone. What if you've read the book, or if you haven't read the book, the question could be applicable. What for you is most helpful to, when it comes to like learning about investing? I'm going to change it up. What holds you back from taking the next step in your investing business? Corinne's laughing because I'm literally thinking about it as I'm speaking, but that's just me. What holds you back from investing or taking the next step on your investing journey? So I'd love to hear from everyone, because this is all about engaging all of you. We have a very engaged community. This is not just about us speaking to you, or I would have just recorded this video, but this is a live thing. We're all live with you. So please share in the comments, give us some likes, give us some hearts. That helps. But what holds you back? So the first person who could tell me what holds them back will get that amazing tool that Corinne is speaking of. I speak often. I loved all the chapters, but for me, selfishly, I'm really interested in self-storage. So I got a ton from reading Corinne's chapter. She just adds so much, like chock full of just data and information about that investing kind of niche. So it's a must read. So I will wait for some folks to share what's holding you back, either investing or taking the next step and wherever you are in your investing journey. So first person to share that and be real and honest, you will get that, video from Corinne, and you can just shoot me your information at info@. I'm going to put that up here if anybody needs my information, but I'll put that in as we continue. So thank you, Corinne, for being here. I'm going to continue on with our amazing other co-authors, and I'll ask that question again. So I want engagement from all of you watching. I will force it if I need to. So Becky, where are you from? What do you focus on? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great. Hey, everyone. My name is Becky Rinkevich, and I was born and raised in Doylestown, PA, which is about an hour north of Philadelphia.
Bucks County. Woo!
Yeah, Bucks County. I'm a full-time real estate agent, and my license is held at KW Philly. And I run a very successful team with my business partner, Rafaelina Merlino, called Live, Love, Artemis. And we are on pace to close over 40 million in volume this year. We have 3 full-time agents that work on our team, a full-time ops manager, and we work all over Philly, the surrounding counties, Bucks, Montgomery, Delco, Chester, and Rafaelina and I are also licensed in New Jersey, so we work in Jersey as well. And I'm also this close to getting licensed in Florida, and we are setting up our second location in West Palm Beach, Florida, very shortly. So that's what I do mainly. And then I also invest. Obviously, I flip residential properties currently, but I am we're on our way to getting into the commercial space and picking up some passive rentals. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. I love it. So we got I love your logo, KT. I don't know your first name, but K, we'll call you K. Design. It looks like you got some good design thing going. But you said your challenge is finding a deal or an investor or realtor. And I'm sure Becky can share a lot about those sort of things, and us as well, because there are not all agents are created equally, if you will, right? Because they're not all focused on serving investors. Mm-hmm. So there's probably some tips there. But yeah, thank you for participating. Shoot me a note. Shoot me your contact info if you can. I'll connect you to Corinne at info@therealestateinvestor.com. So just shoot me your name, your contact info, all that good stuff. I'll get you in touch with Corinne, and she'll get you that amazing tool that she's put together, which she's the lady on that from that perspective with self-storage. So thank you for being here. Hey, Victoria from New York City. Hello. Hey, Victoria. Victoria's part of our New York City chapter. So thanks for being here. All right. So Miss Gertrude.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gertrude. I am based in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm a real estate investor out here. My primary strategy is the BRRRR strategy, which is you buy, you remodel, you rent, and you refinance, and you repeat the process. I have a few flips here and there that I do to help me with cash reserves, and I just jumped in when I started and grew within like 12, 13 months to 72 units. So I was one of those people who just happened to have the right mindset at the time. But as I've mentored and helped many women in this business, I've noticed that a lot of things that sort of hold people back is paralysis analysis. I want to tell every woman out there that you can do it. It's all about the mindset, and everyone should strive to get that financial freedom. We're here to help you. I host the real estate investor community here in Boston, and there are phenomenal women that are part of our community here that are doing great things because of how much we've encouraged each other. So I'm excited to be able to talk to you and to encourage another woman out there to just take that next step.
I love it. I love it. And if you're watching this, thank you for joining us. Give us some hearts, give us some thumbs up, give us some love, as they say, because I'm talking here with three amazing co-authors of The Only One in the Room. And it's like, ooh, I'm not sure how to show it on the screen. But we're going to be talking a little bit about investing and all things considered. So thank you, Gertrude. And I remember reading, I was looking at everyone, when people join the Facebook community, and we have a Facebook community. Obviously, that's how this is being on. I was reading it, and Gertrude said she wanted to join the Facebook community, and I was reading her profile, and she's like, "Oh, I've done this," and she said it so nonchalantly. In 9 months, I've closed 72 units, but I'm still looking to learn and grow from all you amazing women. Just the way she wrote her note, I'm like, we got to interview this woman. I got to talk to her. Like, she just said it in such and I think that's most women, right? We say things in a very and I was talking to someone last week, part of our investor community, and I'm like, yeah, what's your experience? What have you done? She's like, I flipped, 80 homes, but I'm just so much I need to figure out and learn. I'm like, yeah, 80 is a lot. I have not flipped 80 homes. So I think as women, we undersell ourselves, and I just appreciated I'm so glad I reached out to you, Gertrude, that day, because I'm like, I got to connect with this woman, and it was really cool. Okay, so question for all of you, and if you have a question too, please jump in and ask us. But with regards to the book, as you wrote your chapter, I don't know about you because I'm also a co-author. There's a lot of interesting therapy when you write something because you're trying to give value, right? I don't know about you, but what for you came up for you when you were writing it, when you were putting it together? What did you learn about yourself? What did it kind of pop out for you? Was there anything that was like a takeaway as you were putting your chapter together? So that's my first question. Becky, I'll start with you.
Great. So I actually wish that I had more, words to leverage in order to speak about my story because I feel like I could write for days. But we had to limit to a certain number of word count for our chapters. But when I was writing mine, I looked back after I read it and I'm like, wow, I can't believe. Because sometimes, we're so busy and we're in the thick of it now. And sometimes we forget where we started and where we came from. And so I looked back on that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe where I am now compared to where I was. And I would only dream about being where I was, where I am today back then. Mm-hmm. And I am a very firm believer in the law of attraction. If you haven't read the book, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, it's a fabulous book. And manifesting what you want to achieve in life and where you want to be. And I would write down, these I am statements and think it into existence. Like I am a real estate investor. I am in the top 1% of all agents in the United States. I am an author of a book. And at the time when I was writing, I was showing my team this the other day. When I was writing this, and I have the journal that I used. I had no idea how I would ever get there. I had no connections. I grew up poor. I had no one to lend me money. I had no one to teach me about investing or passive income or how to be successful in this capacity. And but I believed it with a true conviction that I was going to get there. And then here we are, 6 years later from when I started on this journey after I got divorced and with nothing and a ton of debt. And so it's really not that long of a time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe it. So it was just like this very satisfying moment. And that's why I feel so inspired to share my story with other women that might be in my position or were in my position and they don't know how to get out of it, or and they have these big dreams, but they don't know how they can attain them. And so it was really just fulfilling in that regard when I was writing mine.
It's very cool. That's awesome. And it's, we often measure, I've heard this as a strategy. If you want to be happy, right? I'm going to tell you all the secret to happiness. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready? I'm telling you, it's what's today, almost the end of September. Don't measure your progress looking forward. Measure your progress looking back. So when you look back and you say, wow, look what I've done, you actually feel good about what you've done because it's, I've done this, I've done that, versus looking in the forward. I don't know about, I can speak personally. When I look forward, right, I want to achieve this. I get very like, I haven't done this. I haven't done that. I haven't, accomplished this. So if you want to feel good about where you are, look back at what you've done versus forward, because sometimes we beat ourselves up very easily. So which is something I kind of heard what you were saying, Becky.
Yeah.
So I love that. Gertrude, how about you?
Yeah, when I was writing my chapter, just like what Becky said, you kind of needed to consolidate and put your whatever it is that you wanted to put out there in a limited number of words. So I wanted to be authentic because I believe that, as women, if we're authentic and we can sort of put into words, in my chapter, I really, really wanted to put into words what I experienced. And I wanted it to be relevant, and I wanted it to be timeless. But I also wanted it to be a true experience of what I had faced and what I had gone through. So the strongest thing I wanted to come out in my chapter, the need for a strong why, because most people come into real estate investing because it's about, the financial rewards that it has. But I really wanted my chapter to show that, yes, the financial rewards will be there, but you will need something bigger than financial rewards. You will need something bigger than even quitting that job that you don't really like. And I wanted each woman to know that your relationships, being part of Real Estate Invest Her has what became that network. There was a sisterhood there was a tribe I was part of that encouraged me, that made me see that women were pushing through, who had, like Becky said, I grew up poor. Each person has a story, but they overcame that story. So I wanted my story to come through. I wanted women to know that we can have our own quote unquote boys club, which is the girls club, and use that to our advantage on our own terms. And I wanted that to come through. I really truly want other women to read this book and to say, yes, this is about doing it on our own terms.
Love it. Yeah. Love it. How about you, Karim? What was your takeaway as you wrote your chapter?
So I very much struggled with even feeling like I was worthy to put down my story on paper, and never ever really would have had the strength to do it if it were not for you and Andressa and Ashley and the Invest Her community, because who am I to feel like I can put my life story in a book and share it with the world? So I guess my avoidance of that, or trying to navigate my discomfort with feeling as if my story was not worthy to be told is what resulted in my chapter being very much focused on exactly what we did in self-storage. So you'll get all the nuts and bolts. You won't get much of me in there. I'm sorry, guys. That's just that's me. That's my comfort level, and that's how I wanted to deliver the most possible value. And for better or worse, I just felt like being able to share specifics of numbers and implementation and processes for what we did with self-storage was my way of delivering the most value. So that's something that I'm still struggling with. I mean, we have a portfolio under management of over $9 million. You think I would be over it by now, but I'm not. I'm still struggling with self-worth every day and how to navigate that. And so I'm just being completely honest and authentic and vulnerable with you there. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, that's huge, because we kind of, Ashley ran a great system with us and all the co-authors. She kind of gave us all the, how much she wanted in terms of writing and the structure and this. She was really great. And she said, she gave us all of our titles, right, of what the focus would be. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, and she said, oh, well, you're going to write about strategic moments of building an empire. And I'm like, okay, so that means you think I have an empire. Okay. That's interesting. And I had to really stop and check myself to what Corinne's saying. I think many women struggle with that self-worth. And I don't know why. I have been like browbeating my 3-year-old. I have a daughter. She's 3. She acts like she's 13. She's a crazy little girl. I love her. But every night I'm like, I say, you are strong, you are beautiful, and you're unstoppable. And I hope she gets more % of self-worth than I did. And I had loving parents, right? So it wasn't like I was told I was a, moron every day. I don't know where that's about. I'd love to explore that, get somebody on our podcast, could maybe explore that a little bit about women and self-worth, right? That's a whole interesting conversation, but it's true. And it's out there. And you have 3 successful women on this, and quite honestly, 20 in this book. And I bet you every single one of them probably would mention that. Men do. It's just different, right? It's different than women.
Yeah,
so, interesting. So I appreciate you guys sharing that. For me, I'll just share really quick too. So when I wrote this around strategic moves, I was like, what? I didn't make any strategic moves. Like, you don't really even think you do. And then I started writing, and when you write, even if you're not going to write a book, I would encourage everyone watching this and listening to this, take a moment and start to think about where you came from and where you are today. Almost like map it out. I did an exercise. I did a lot of facilitating, and it was called a life map. And it was actually a map, and it was of your life. And when you do that in the context of where you are today, it's fascinating, because you start to see these little decisions you made get you to the next thing and to the next thing. And so that was the biggest takeaway for me as I wrote, was like, when I decided to take a entrepreneur class, I was a social work. I had a master's degree in social work. I was being trained to be a therapist. That is what I've always wanted to do in my life. I wanted to open my own practice. I wanted to just help people all day and counsel them and solve their problems. Never practiced. And I took an entrepreneur class when I was at school for being, and I'm like, people are like, what are you doing? You're here to get your master's in social work. I'm like, well, something draws me to that. And that's where that's idea born of my ideas around, I want to be a business owner. I want to start a company. And everyone's like, what? And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then these little things happened, right? So I encourage you. And I think this is something that the 4 of us are saying, really look at where you've been and where you are today. Because there's so much wisdom in that, right? And it also shows me, I don't know about both the 3 of you, and I want to get to this, where we're headed next, right? So it's not like we're done. We're good. We're going to go hang out on the beach now. After this live, we're all just going to head to the beach, and we're done with our growing. The 4 of us are very active investors. We're growing our businesses. We're very busy ladies. I could say that for the 4 of us, and quite honestly, all the women in this book. So we're always kind of looking forward, looking ahead. And it's almost like the same success of these little strategic moves will lead you to the next thing. And it doesn't happen overnight. We want success and we want it now. It just doesn't always happen that way. Most of the time, it doesn't happen. So where are the 3 of you today in your investing world? And it doesn't even have to be specific around, Corinne, you just shared a few things around what you're up to. I know, Gertrude, you and I were talking before we went live. Becky, I'm sure you got a bunch of things happening because you're growing leaps and bounds. So I would ask you, the three of you, what are you learning about yourself as an investor right now? Right now in recession, COVID, new normal, we're all experiencing. What are you learning about yourself as an investor? And how's that helping you become a better one? And if you have questions, please post them. I'll be keeping an eye on that. Somebody said, thank you for the positivity. Bought your book, waiting on delivery. Awesome. Okay. So how about you? Gertrude? What are you learning about yourself as an investor right now?
Well, as an investor, I'm trying to grow into larger units, like apartment units and that. But this pandemic has made me take a second look at my portfolio, where you kind of look and you start to think for yourself, what is the best for me? Do I need to pivot anywhere? So you run your numbers again. Obviously when you started and you bought the properties, you ran your numbers, and you go back into your portfolio and you start looking at each property, taking a second look and running your numbers and thinking to yourself, okay, I need to pivot a little bit here. I think I don't really like this part anymore. It worked when I started out, but I think I've grown in this area and I think I'm ready to try something different out. So I think it's probably not a good idea. And you said it once when you did one of your runs. You said maybe it's time to pivot. Maybe it's time to look at your portfolio and think, what other income stream can I get out of what I have? And just even Karine, you said you're looking at liquidating some stuff. And I think as an investor, I would say that you grow and you start to think to notice that we're always evolving. You can start with one business model, but don't get stuck in that just because that's what you dreamt of when you started out. Just think of ways you can grow, ways you can pivot. There's always bigger and better things. Just be on the lookout out there and learn from the people who are doing what you want to do.
Yeah, well said. I'm going to throw some questions in here. Thank you, chat. Chat said, bought the book and love it so much that I downloaded it in Kindle as well. You're the best. And if you do love the book, if you've gotten it, if you've read it, we would so appreciate you leaving a review, an honest review on Amazon. That just helps get the word out even more. So thank you, chat, for doing that and being on here. All right, so I got a couple of questions here. This is an interesting question before we get to the next thought there. What advice would you give women that are starting out in investing with a little under 10,000? What are some strategies you would recommend? Should I get a coach to help me along the way? I don't want to spend any more money on bottomless trading. I hear you. We don't know your name, but Facebook user, definitely put your name in there. But yeah, that's a really good question. Little under 10,000. What are some strategies you would recommend? Okay, so I'm going to take this out just because I can't see either of your faces. So thank you for asking. What advice would you give someone who's got less than 10,000? They're looking for some strategies. What's the best, maybe some of their next steps? I'm going to ask the three of you who wants to share.
I would say first, what market?
Thanks, Kimberly. Thanks, it's Kimberly. Okay, we got a name now. Awesome. Thanks, Kimberly.
What market are you in, Kimberly?
Yeah, share with us a little about your market.
Yeah.
But
because I would say, I mean, just from being here in Philadelphia, there are, I would definitely leverage the fact that interest rates are so low right now. I mean, in Pennsylvania. Okay, great. So, you could get a conventional 30-year fixed loan right now for 2.5%. So if you are, you can purchase in a lower income area and use that 10,000 as your down payment, and utilize the BRRRR strategy and do a 203K with that, which is a renovation loan it's an FHA product. That's the renovation rehab loan. That could be a strategy for sure. That's my space, so I can confidently talk about that. I don't know if anyone else has any suggestions.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on what Kimberly is looking to accomplish ultimately. Do you want to be hands-on managing, or do you just want your money to be working for you? Because there are opportunities, there are plenty of very active people in the BRRRR or flipping space who are maybe looking for private money lending. 10,000 is not a huge chunk of change, but it might be something to get you started if someone's maybe wrapping up the end of a reno and just needs something to get them through the final phases. That's also something to consider. It depends on how involved you want to be and in what kind of capacity in real estate investing. Sorry to throw a question back at a question, but it really, you need to be very crystal clear on what you want to accomplish and how in order to
Yeah, she
find the
said
best path,
divorcing and
really,
credit
to
has
get
been
started.
compromised. So, yeah, Gertrude, you got any thoughts as well for Kimberly?
I would ask her to look at probably it, like everyone says, it depends what she wants to do. Does she want to get really involved, or does she want to be passive? You can do some out of state investing in some markets where you can probably do a turnkey for literally that much, and it can start cash flowing for you from day one. So it just depends what you want to do. You really have to be crystal clear on what you want to do, what personality you have in terms of, are you a person who wants to do passive investing? How involved do you want to get?
And leverage this network to make sure that you're working with reputable people. Be very careful about that starting out. That's my biggest thing. Like, know who you're working with. Make sure you've got referrals, whether you're lending money or whether you're buying out of state or even in your network. Know who you're working with. Call everybody you know and see if they know the person that you're working with, and do all of that homework up front, because that's going to pay off
Huge
in the end.
I would also say to expand your mind, you have more than money to give. So when people say, I want to invest and I have X dollars to invest, that's helpful to know, okay, where am I at today? Money, time, but you have time to give, you have expertise to give. It comes down to money and deal flow. So you take any investor, take any of these three ladies, any 20 women in this book, it's either the team, money, or deals, right? Where you all need a little something of those three, or people that are active in the business. So you, Kimberly, have a lot to give, more than just money. So you could keep that 10,000 and say, okay, what else can I give to somebody who's active in the business? And for that, I get a certain percentage for finding the deal, or for putting it together, or fill in the blank of whatever that person may need. But just, think out of the box too. We get very like, oh, we have this amount of money, we can only do this. Well, that's true if it's just you, but you have other things to give than just money. So like I said, anyone that's active in this business needs those three things. And sometimes they need more than the other. They either need good people to help them with something, they need money to do more deals, or more importantly, and probably the most important thing in today's economy, is they need deals, whatever their criteria is. And no one that's active in the business needs none of those three things ever. If we pulled the three of the four of us right now, we could rank the three of them for even ourselves. So I would just say, Kimberly, don't look at just money, look at other things too, because you probably have a lot more to give than just money. So that's my 2 cents, because I got to put my 2 cents in there. All right, we got another question. What do you feel is the best way to grow your active income right now in order to continue to buy passive cash flow properties? It's a great question. Yeah, who wants to start with that? Because active income can look differently, right? It could be wholesaling. In a nutshell, right? It could be flipping, but active is like, I do this, I earn that money, and then it's like a one-time sort of project, if you will. Passive or ongoing, if you will, is more of that rental business, self-storage, mobile home park, multifamily, single homes. It could be any niche, but it's an ongoing process. So what do you think? What do you think?
This may or may not answer the question, but I'm also going back, Liz, to your question earlier about what are we doing differently, or what do we have coming up, and maybe Facebook user, this will help you with some considerations for this question. We are actively looking at buying businesses. We have a sizable property management portfolio. So the businesses that we are looking to acquire are the trades, right? Whether it's an HVAC company or a landscaping company or a handyman company, because up until now, we have a couple guys on staff that handle that. But then when we looked at our finances and looked at how much we were paying out the door to subcontract, we said, well, and thanks to Cody Sanchez being the keynote speaker for the virtual summit. If anyone on today's Facebook Live, if you haven't accessed the virtual summit files, I think they're still available. Go get them. Listen to Cody Sanchez's talk because that completely changed the way that we were thinking about our next steps as well. Yeah. So what we're looking to do is acquire ancillary businesses that will feed our property management and our real estate investment businesses so that they can all be working on and working with one another. It's not going to be passive because we're going to be buying and operating another business, but it's going to help us up the passive cash flow from the rest of our properties. It's going to help us deliver a better quality of service to our investors. And at the end of the day, it's going to help us increase our bottom line.
Love it. I want to we got more questions coming in. Super. I love that. Clean Line Properties. This is Kelly. Hi, Kelly. What's the best way to find the ARV for multifamilies? I'm trying to buy my first multifamily and I have trouble running the numbers. I got to give that to you, Becky, because you're probably like got some tricks besides using the MLS. Okay. What can like, you know, all of us without having access to maybe all the amazing tools you have access to figure out the ARV? Because that could be tricky. I know that could be tricky because sometimes there's not a ton of them, or there's reasons for not being able to get them.
Yeah. So I would say first and foremost, when you are purchasing multifamily properties, 100%, the first thing you should do is find a real estate agent that you know and trust that works in the multifamily space and works with investors, and a bonus also invests themselves, because those are the people that you're going to want to have in your pocket as your go-to. And when you identify a property, you can run it by them. They can pull comps for you. I like to see what other rentals are, if it's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, what area it's in. I mean, in Philadelphia in particular, every single zip code has different pockets. This area demands more in rent. This, doesn't get as much. The absorption rate, how much inventory is on the market compared to how many buyers are out there. And then that will also play into what the ARV is of the property. So, if your agent that is your investor friendly agent that helps you on the buy side, on the resale, if you are unloading it after you fix it up and you create a great cap rate after you renovate it, they will definitely be able to help you. I mean, I know when I'm trying to find ARV for properties, I'll go to the MLS and I will look to see what is sold in the last 180 days, because that's what an appraiser is going to look at. If you're in the inner city in an urban area, you don't really want to go out more than a quarter mile of the subject property. And then if you're in the burbs, you can go a few miles out and it's more school district related. And you look at what the properties that are fixed up are selling for, price per square foot, what if it's how many bedrooms, how many baths, does it have parking? If you're in the city, that's a huge component to the ARV. Mm-hmm. So, but I would definitely find that real estate agent that works with investors, also invest themselves, and they know the market and they're local area experts.
Yeah, and I would just add I completely agree with everything Becky just said. It's also about talking to other investors in that area that might be looking for, say, a 50 unit or 100 unit, and you're looking for a 10 unit, and you can start talking to them about, what's the average per door cost, and that's a lot of the like lingo that will be used. Oh, it's 30,000 or 50,000, or it trades at 70,000, whatever it might be. But starting to talk to investors, active investors who have multifamily in the markets you want, but aren't going after the same properties you're looking for, or maybe there's a way to support, also could be helpful, because there could be some larger ones or smaller ones, depending on what kind of size multifamily, that could give you some insight too. Like, yeah, this is what I'm experiencing, in addition to working with some great agents too, because they're super active. Just know who you're working with, because not all agents are created equal, right? Someone's like, oh, I specialize in multifamily. You're like, oh, what have you sold? I sold a duplex. And meanwhile, you're looking for 100 unit. Like,
exactly.
That's not gonna work.
Yep.
So,
and that's a great point, Liz. And most of the 20% of the agents do 80% of the business. So you really want to make sure that you vet your agent. You ask them about, what areas they work in, ask about sold stats, the number of clients they've represented on the buy side, the sell side, how many investors they work with, what types of properties. That's really huge.
Yep. Kelly's asking just a follow-up question. I have not found an agent. How can I connect with a great investor agent? So we are starting, I'm going to do a shameless plug, but we're literally starting a Baltimore investor chapter on Monday. Chelsea is our leader there, and you could check it out. Just go to meetup.com. I think their first meeting is Monday night. They're having a great topic. I'm going to be there too. It's October 5th. So it's Monday. So beyond that, I don't, and I know Chelsea is connected in the community, and she's got tons of women who are starting to connect and do some really neat things for Baltimore. So that'll be one thought there. But yeah, definitely check it out, because we're excited about that new meetup. It's one of our new meetups. So I want to get to this other question before. I know you got to go, Miss Corinne here. So I want to make sure I get to all the questions. I just make sure we do that. Joanne, I just found out about syndication. Right now, I'm not ready to be hands-on. How do I get involved with syndications? Corinne, I'm going to let you answer that.
Okay, so depending on where you are and what your goals are and whether you're an accredited or sophisticated investor, there are a number of syndicators out there. I am one, Liz is one, Ashley Wilson is one, Camilla Jeffs in our community also is one. So I would say, I would certainly say start with, if you're a member, hopefully you're a member of the investor community, start within the community, ask around. And then the Philadelphia meetup had Liz a couple weeks ago, and she laid out some very key points and questions that you want to ask, that you have to ask, you must ask when you are interviewing syndicators, to make sure that it's a right fit. You are not going to syndicators begging them to take your money. You are interviewing syndicators to find one whose projects and whose goals align with your goals and your expectations, because it is not a one-night stand or a summer fling. Usually these projects are 3, 5, 7 years. So once you're in, you're in. And so I would definitely encourage you to just get started connecting with people who are in that space. If they are honest and of integrity, they will tell you who else they know who is in the space and refer you to them as well, so that you can do a complete vetting process. And at the end of that, you know that the decision that you're making, whoever you go with, whichever project you go with, and you don't have to go with one or another, you can go with a couple depending on the funds and what your goals are. But so that you know by the end, once you come to make a decision, you've done as much due diligence as you possibly can. I hope that helps answer your question.
Yeah, and Joanne, I would just add, that was awesome. I would just add too, just a thought would be, you want to vet the syndicator, but then in terms of vetting the deal, right? There's a whole level, right? The whole level of that. And they're obviously, it gets complicated, right? We're closing in 2 weeks on a 336 unit. I know enough to make me dangerous, but there are certain details in the underwriting that are beyond my, threshold of my expertise. That's why we have a good team. My point in saying that is, you want to do your own due diligence. There's a great book. It's called The Best Ever Apartment Syndication Book. Joe Fairless wrote it. Yes. It's a phenomenal book. It's literally like that big, but he goes through chock full of the syndication process. So not only vetting the syndicator, that's important, critical, but just getting familiar with syndication. I would read that book, hands down, because that's going to give you the nice global view of what this is all about. And then the questions to ask these folks, because you want to make sure you do your homework on the deal just as much as the person or the team. Yeah. So just my 2 cents there too. But awesome question, Joanne. And hey, if you can find a good syndicator and you got the money, you have the money aside to do it. Like, my dream is just to passively invest. That's my goal set. So good for you, because that's what we all want to be doing, right?
That's what we all want to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to be less active and more passive. That's, some of my stuff.
That's
my
the
goals.
goal.
All right. Awesome. So I got to all the questions. I just want to make sure I got all the questions, but yeah, I'm going to let you all, Corinne, I know you have a hard stop here. And I know we went over a little bit, but I hope this was helpful. The women who joined us right at 12 are saying the same numbers that are right here. So we want to thank you for joining us today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for supporting us in this book. If you have not gotten it, you got to get it. You just do. It's phenomenal. And if you have gotten it and you're enjoying it, we thank you for supporting it. Share it on your social media, share it with your friends, write us a review, share the good news, right? Just, hope you got some tips here. We're going to be doing these more consistently. And thank you, Corinne. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Gertrude, for being on here with all of us. For those who need the URL for the book, I'm just going to put it because that would be helpful. Andressa would totally have yelled at me like you didn't even put the URL for the book.
You'd be in trouble.
You're killing me, Liz. Okay, so I'm putting the URL here. It's literally therealestateinvesther.com/book. And you got some great bonus material on there, and then it'll take you over to Amazon where you could purchase it Kindle, print, and we're working on an Audible edition. Have that in the works. We didn't have that in the works prior, but hey, we're all learning and growing. So that will be something we'll be offering as well. So did I forget anything?
I was just going to say, if anyone else has any other questions that weren't able to be answered today, I am more than happy to answer any questions that you might have or help guide you along your investing process. So you can feel free to reach out to any one of us here on our social handles on Facebook, Instagram. I love helping, teaching, guiding, and inspiring other women to dream big. So as all the other three ladies on this talk today do. So visit us there.
Awesome. Well, thank you three so much. Thank you for everyone watching and listening. Hope this was of value, and have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye.